In March of 2020, the World Health Organization declared the COVID-19 pandemic.
We have therefore made the assessment that COVID-19 can be characterized as a pandemic,
throwing the world in a downward spiral. For months, we were bombarded with death and disease through the TV screens while locked down in our homes. Reason and common sense were tough to come by. Our doctors were in on it. Our politicians were in on it, forcing our family and friends to be in on it too. Those who saw through the fear in our screens and into the eyes of the politicians were ridiculed, slandered in the media, and accused of killing grandma. Alberta Premier Jason Kenny understood the values of our civil liberties. He got the frustration of the working class unable to go to their jobs in other provinces. Most importantly, he understood the media's part in reinforcing the fear narrative.
Frank, let me be blunt. I think it's time for media to stop promoting fear when it comes to COVID-19.
This is what made Alberta a safe haven for political dissidents, like Canada's Florida or South Dakota. It wasn't long, however, until he got too far ahead of himself by calling out the Great Reset.
And Klaus Schwab's thesis in his book is that governments and societies, the world, should, quote, seize the opportunity of the public health and economic crisis to reimagine the world and radically change policies. Now, in what ways? I would describe it as a grab bag of left-wing ideas for less freedom and more government.
This is when everything changed.
Do you have any questions about this right now?
That Kenny we once knew, the man who sided with us, began to lie to our faces, opening us up just to lock us back down over and over again.
Our intention, this is open for good, not just open for summer.
I don't want to go back to the... I swear to God.
He would tell us the importance of rules just to break them himself.
And so I want sincerely to apologize to my colleagues and to Albertans for letting you down.
Although we were physically separated by force, a storm was brewing in a freedom movement that stretched countrywide. The frontline workers, who were praised to the thick of COVID, were given a choice. But it wasn't a choice. It was coercion.
Employers may choose to require employees to be immunized. That certainly is something that is within their rights to do.
They could continue to feed their family or take part in a science experiment. It started with our nurses, then our doctors, then our teachers, our neighbors, our friends, and then it made it to our truckers. On January 28th, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced that truckers had to be vaccinated to cross the border or be forced to quarantine for 14 days, making it logistically impossible to work without a jab. The truckers did not take it lying down. They gathered in the thousands, bringing along tens of thousands of supporters with them to Ottawa. They swore not to leave until mandates were dropped. Around the country, Canadians felt a sense of unity they haven't seen in years. It was obvious the majority wanted mandates over.
The small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views.
The Conservative Party stood with the truckers. Kenny said he stood with the truckers too.
So the federal government brought in a delay of a few months on this quarantine requirement for unvaccinated truckers who cross the border. I would just say, please extend that. Use some common sense.
But Alberta was still facing the same segregation, discrimination, and coercion as the rest of the country. The unvaccinated were still unclean, not allowed to fly or take a train inside Canada, kicked out of restaurants, gyms, and their jobs. Not all truckers went to Ottawa. They were in Jason Kenny's backyard too.
What makes this a pretty town is we don't have lots of crime rate. We don't have people running by shooting people, and you can just sit back and look at the Sweetgrass Hills and just relax.
Well, being it's a border town, being right on the border, and people have blinders on here, though.
you know, in the old days with horses that had blinders, they go through and they don't know there's a town here because they just don't look around, right? You're just concentrating to show your passport and get into Canada, or show your passport and get into US. You aren't concentrating on, and then people say, oh, there's actually a town there. I always think of it the other way, as a kind of a sleeping giant, that there's so much traffic on this border and going back and forth that I think down the road it's going to grow.
K2 here, and right now we're on our way to the Canada-US border. We're in Alberta right now.
Well, it seems like yesterday a bunch of truckers were circling the border in support of the convoy that went into Ottawa, and today something changed. They began to block the border. So I guess from the word from that, we backed our cameras up, packed our batteries and our beef jerky.
Yeah, and there's some pretty incredible images coming out of there, so we can't wait to show you what's going on and to find out what's going to happen with these truckers.
What's going on, brother?
Not too much. How are you guys doing?
Good.
Pretty good. Good. Just heading out for the protest?
Yeah, we're media.
Yeah. No, it's all good.
Oh, okay.
So we're not blocking anybody. We're just basically telling them that if they want to cross the border to turn around here because it's just easier.
No, we had decided beforehand we just weren't going to advertise it too much.
Yeah.
Because we didn't know what the police were going to do, you know. So we were trying to make it look like, you know, as least amount of trouble as possible. Because we were told we were allowed to do the slow roll.
Yeah.
But they did not give us the permission to actually stop and block.
Yeah.
So obviously we went and did it anyways, because that's why we're here, right?
Yeah.
This was definitely fully planned.
Plan on leaving anytime soon?
No.
And so how many more 2 weeks are we, you know, we're over 2 years now already. So, you know, 5 years, 10 years, you know, our kids, this generation of kids has no future as it is right now. Their school system is destroyed. I mean, you know, our elderly are dying alone. It's, you know, where are they finally going to end this? The science is 100% against it. This isn't working. They're not changing their tactics at all. They're just pushing the same thing over and over and over again.
I think we just gotta fucking hold the line and just fucking tell the cops too when we get talking to everybody. It's like, hey man, this is for your kids just as much as fucking our kids, right? Do you want to fucking go down the wrong side of history or with us? Right? Because time's gonna fucking
most part, a lot of the RCMP are really good.
Yeah,
but
I think these guys coming aren't gonna be
you just
good.
get that vibe that they're, you know, talking out of both sides of their mouths.
This is southbound, just south of Milk River. This is what's coming through.
I said Milk River, they've got a task force down there. They've got trucks and cars stopped on the highway. They're not letting anyone through. These people are carrying food for us.
Food for the truckers.
Food for the truckers.
I don't know exactly what's all happening, but I know the RCMP seem to be moving in with tow trucks and things like that. We just need to block things up. They're playing tough. We're going to play tough too. Trudeau, You're messing with the wrong people. The 10% is after you if you think it's only 10%. It's time to get real. It's time to get going, guys. Now's the time. But we do really ask that you open that back up so when we have more people coming.
And we need our support.
Yeah.
And if you deny our support, that means you're against us.
That's right.
I can see your passion. You're really raising your voice. Well, no, but I am upset.
I can really see your passion about you, and it's
passion
to be bad.
This is our life. This is our future.
My dad's been parked for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
We know. And there's other trouble. And you bring up other inconveniences. You know what? People's lives have been lost. Okay?
I'm not here to argue with you there.
Let's not go there about how these truckers are inconvenient.
I'm not here to...
But that highway needs to be open.
But if you can open that up, we would really appreciate that. We're not here to make any trouble. We just simply need...
I'm here just to pass it and negotiate both ways. So I'll let the people we report to know that that's concerned you guys.
It is, absolutely. Yeah. And we have more people coming in bringing food. We need food brought in. All the people that are out here, including those that are in the lighthouse.
I spoke with a number of truckers who are now stuck here and just want to get home.
I'm stuck like about 3 days. No shower, nothing, anything.
Do you feel safe?
No, anybody, no safe.
There's been some that obviously their concern was food, something to eat, water, but we've been going back and forth down the lines asking them, hey, do you need anything? Do you need a ride anywhere? We've been supplying them with everything they need. There's even been emergency services in. We've been letting everybody in and out as they need to.
Do you feel safe?
No.
This good fellow here is hoping to plan some, donate some money for the Freedom Convoy.
You're a good man.
Giving truck drivers food.
There was a guy that's been struggling with his high blood pressure and things like that. We asked him or told him, we've got a roadway open here. If you need to get out, you can go out at any time.
We would love it if mainstream media would stop accepting donations from Justin Trudeau to tell nothing but lies and only tell his version of the story. We'd love it if they would actually come down and see for themselves and not just record 5 seconds of video of one person doing something not within our parameters and just air that. It would be really appreciated if they would spin their cameras all the way around and not just tape one corner of something.
The tensions are still in the air. Now, I believe it is the case that organizers are trying to amend the situation and perhaps let a couple of these guys move their way through, the ones who are most vocal about being stuck here.
2 days he was fine with it. The third day he was upset, so
yeah.
We don't want any trouble, so we might get together, maybe move him through to be happy, but
yeah.
We don't want any glass breaking here.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. What is the next step that we can do to gain our ground without doing something federally? Right? We've made our point.
Yeah, I think we got to do this peacefully. We've made our point.
Because they're closing in on us right now. So to beat them at their own game, we're going to leave peacefully.
All together
as unison. We've made our point. I think they know what we wanted, that we can do this. But I think we need to have a vote as who's in favor, that we all start our trucks and we leave as one group, and so they can never pin it on nobody. We leave all together and we drive away. I don't think we have a chance of fighting against that. They're going to come in and one by one, their tactical team and their tow trucks, and they're going to pull us apart. And I don't think we have a hope to stand ground against that.
Let them come.
Let them come.
Let them come. Let them come. Let them come. Let them come. One by one. Let's do a vote. Keep it peaceful.
Yeah, but let them come.
Stay here. Let them come. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. Why did we come here? Why have we been here?
Agreed.
Not going to sit here for 2 days for nothing.
No.
That's right. Let them come. One by one.
Block the whole thing off. Keep it peaceful. What are they going to do? Nothing.
Right? Once you're here, we're done.
Can we not just ask for a negotiation?
They don't have to. We're doing an illegal blockade. They don't need to negotiate. We're not.
And they've taken all my rights for the last 2 years.
I know that.
Illegal.
But you got to remember, we have a bigger fight going on in Ottawa.
They're still the power.
Right?
We're not.
And that fight is still going to continue, right?
Yeah, they're still in the power, right? I see what you say, and I don't disagree. But shucks, we've been here for 3 days now. Let's stay put.
We made our point.
No, we have not. No, we did not. Not yet. So if it gets tough, we leave.
Anybody who needs to leave can leave. We're not holding people up.
This is the time.
Yes.
If we don't do it now, it will,
We will
not
have
go.
another chance.
That's it. No. This is it.
People.
This is
Think
it.
about your
They're
life
taking me
forever.
before I get out.
Come on.
I'm with you on
There's no weakening, guys.
They
No
can leave.
weakening.
They can leave. But the only way I'm leaving is in a cruiser.
Yes.
There you go.
You know what? You 100%.
That's right.
You know what? Who's with?
So who's going to stay? I'm
Who's
staying.
staying? Who's staying?
The Lord is with us.
Their tactics are we're surrounded.
They're
Yes.
trying to make us weak. They're
Yes.
trying to get under
It's
our
all
skin.
morale, Alex.
It is
Keep
time
up
to
the
stand.
morale. You already started.
I guess the ones that want to leave can leave.
I don't care if everybody who I speak for.
If a few need to leave, we got to let them go.
Yeah, whoever wants to leave is not with us, but I'm holding the fort.
I'm with these guys. We're staying.
Even if I'm the last truck here, I'm holding the
We got to
fort.
let them go.
People, this is our life. This is the rest of our life.
Some have to. They're going to lose.
Yes.
Fred, are we going to win?
Have to.
Alex, how are we not going to win?
If they come in with the tactical force, then
Yeah, what are they going to do?
Let them come in.
Tactical.
Let 'em go.
Guys, get out of line.
They would get out of line. They have no reason to arrest us.
Holding people here against their will.
No, we're not. Anybody can leave. Anybody can leave. Anybody want to leave? What?
Even if they don't want it, they have to.
Okay, anybody who has to leave, go.
So somebody's gonna have to go talk to them because the train's crossed the tracks. My wife phoned me, and somebody that was trying to come down the train has crossed the tracks, so nobody can either come or go. They put the freaking train across there, so nobody can use those gravel roads anymore. So somebody has to go negotiate with them and say, hey, this is what we're doing. The train will get moved, things will get moved, and then people can leave. Guys, at this point right now, we are stuck here. You cannot leave if you try.
Me and Kean were just witness to an incredible conversation. I think both of us found it extremely emotional, in fact, because this convoy, this blockade, they don't actually have a main organizer. It's more of like a council of truckers, basically. They all came to a unified decision on how to move forward. And of course, if you saw our earlier coverage, there were some people who were a little unhappy about being stuck in the convoy. So what's going to happen is they're going to open up one lane, and this lane is predominantly going to be a little bit of help for the locals here. They're going to let the school buses go through, some stuff like that. But the border is going to remain closed. And they're going to allow truckers who do want to exit to leave at this point. But they are not stopping. A good day. All right.
So everybody appreciate every guy is very nice. It's okay.
What they should be doing is also letting the people bring supplies in. If we're willing to let people out that don't want to be here, they should be willing to allow supplies to come in as well.
Wheatgrass and Coutts is kind of like one town with a line drawn between it. And a lot of us are I'm half Canadian. My mother's from Canada. So there's a lot of connection between the Canadians and Americans here. And really very good relationships, right? Anybody that lives around here that between the Americans and the Canadians.
CCFDs. We're not, for lack of better words, we're not the muscle here. We're just people that keep.
You guys can just come back here, then everybody can kind of turn.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure.
What just happened? Yeah, very appreciative of you guys making the move to let the people wanting to leave.
But it did catch us quite off guard. We have our people we need to talk to as far as the overall situation is concerned. I know everyone here is in your chain of command that's here, right? But ours is in different places, and we need to communicate with them as well. So that's where we're here to hear from you and try and work on at least that first step of getting those people in. And I guess it comes down to a question. We know that there's some trucks over on Highway 500. 501. Yeah. Are those with you guys?
They're part of us. They want to come join us here and just. But see, the whole thing is, we'll leave a lane open. We'll leave a lane open to do any loop around. But we want something back in return. That's right. You understand? We give, you guys give too. So you guys want to get to the commerce thing. We want to be peaceful and everything too, but we want to get stuff for us too. So it's kind of, we have to. We're working together. We're not trying to work against you, but we're trying to work for our end, and you guys are working from your end. But there has to be common ground here. Like, we're going to give you a mile, and then you're going to take 10. Well, no, that doesn't work.
What I'm here, again, like I said, we're trying to meet in the middle. Yeah. That middle, we may not get all the way there. But let's get as close as we can.
How did CTV News get down here? Because none of the other people are allowed.
Yeah, they won't let our families in. Why is the media getting in?
There's supplies that are in down here. I just got a call.
They won't let food come in.
Trucks there with food, and they're not letting food in. They're not letting coffee in. So that's one of the things about what we're here to talk about.
Why is it more important for media to come in and lie about what's going on than people to get food?
A lot of things happen real fast. Certainly, we have checkpoints as far as to make sure that we're trying to work again towards somewhere in the middle there. So in our discussions earlier this morning, we were working on making sure that we can have your food brought in to make sure you have your supplies. And a lot of things happen really quick, so that's part of why we were looking to talk to you guys here to find out, are those trucks belonging in your group? To set up an access point so it doesn't surprise our people, because we have people in the area, and again, they're just looking to make sure that they're following their processes and procedures as well. And that's one thing we're looking to coordinate with you, so we can bring it back to again our chain and facilitate that.
Anybody that lives here is allowed to come and go as they please. So the locals are actually going out and picking up the stuff and bringing the stuff back in for us now because they live here. We want people to be able to just come in and make those deliveries. But the people of Coutts have been amazing. They're backing us, they're helping us, they're in support of us. For them to do this is amazing. So some of the residents here are actually going to go out to where some of this medication is in some of these vehicles, and they're actually going to get it and bring it in, or they're going to go out and get in that vehicle that has that stuff in it and drive that vehicle back in and say, hey, we're residents of Coutts, so this is what we're doing. So hopefully that's what's going to happen, and it's actually been happening now here for the last half an hour. The police did say they would probably be an hour to 2 hours, so we're going on the hour and a half mark here, so we'll give them another half an hour and see what happens.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh. So where we're at is we brought forward your request as far as bringing the food in. Our management or our command structure is happy with passenger vehicles coming through and moving back and forth freely to bring back food in from your guys' convoy there. They're just not comfortable at this point in time letting rigs in. And let me explain. Like I said, it's not the answer you want to hear. It's disappointing to hear, but I think to understand the full scenario and picture of things, based on how things were going for the last couple of days, that with the lack of direct communication with all of you, is that we were at a point of enforcement. So again, it's a matter of drawing that back at this point in time. Now I understand that we're here to communicate with you. We want to make sure, and I saw in every one of your guys' faces when we spoke to you, the desire and the want to speak and communicate effectively, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to overcome the last 2 days of that not happening.
So we were just privy to the next round of negotiations between the truckers and the professional negotiators, basically, for the RCMP. And the RCMP, they didn't really leave a good energy behind them after this had gone through. In fact, they kind of failed in their negotiations, leaving the truckers with a bit of dismay, knowing that what they had promised originally, the negotiators, what they had promised to the truckers, they didn't come through with. So it's unfortunate, but we're gonna see how this plays out. This is a rapidly evolving situation, and we're gonna stay here, we're gonna find out what's going on, and we're gonna see how it evolves.
I have Rebel News here right now, and they want to know what are they telling you at the border when you're trying to bring food through.
They are telling that they are not allowed, being told that they're not allowed to let anyone through.
Not even for food?
Not even for food. Now we have 5 guys come, and they are all carrying the food. The one is carrying the buns, the other the big pan of chili, and the other the big pan of the hot food cold, and they're just carrying it to the other side.
So in the freezing cold temperatures, they are making them walk for miles to bring food into us.
And we asked them if they could please, because there's 5 cops sitting here, so we asked them if one of them could escort us in and out so that they knew we wouldn't do anything else, and they said no, they would not be able, and we're not allowed to do that.
No.
We are.
Yeah, smuggling crap across the border. Yeah, well, I guess we are in a way.
We are.
There is a border. It's, a border within a border.
It's cold out. What's the temperature, you say?
Wind chill, what, minus 30?
I'm a local resident. I live about 4 miles outside of Coutts, and we have been harassed by the RCMP. It is starting to calm down now. It is starting to get a little better, but I've had 4 or 5 days where family isn't allowed to come to my house strictly because of my location. My kids are scared to go to school because we get stopped and harassed, have to show our paperwork just to get through these RCMP blockades. They're not polite. Some of them have been polite, but we've got a lot of jerks too. They put blockades at my house, in front of my house, and I had to go argue with them to move because of my dogs. They're bringing my dogs on there. It has been chaos, and I support the truckers 100%. I love what they're doing. They have not hindered me at all. The RCMP have hindered me 100% for the past week, and I'm tired of it.
And there's a lady that lives down the street that has not been able to get her healthcare nurse down here because the cops won't let her through.
Wow. So it's the cops, it's not the blockade itself?
It's not the truckers. I don't think it's the truckers at all. They've been respectful, humble, peaceful, and I'm glad they're here.
What we're asking for is to open 1 lane of traffic in either direction. If the lanes are open and unimpeded, people can move freely, and that includes yourselves and anyone else that you have. If the lanes are open.
Not
That's what we're looking for.
You're asking just for the...
No, we're also asking for the border, unimpeded 1 lane.
This is what we're asking for. If you allow us to have our people come over, then we'll continue negotiating. We're not going any further till our people are allowed in. On both ends.
All right, listen up. We're going to release all those people and let people come in freely. In and out, our people if they want to come in. No questions asked, and that is what we ask for right now.
Then we're even.
And once we have that, we will renegotiate. And you guys are dismissed. Okay.
Good news, everybody. Rebel News has decided to help us out with lawyer fees, which we really appreciate. Thank you guys. Just wanted to let you guys know, really good news. We've got good guys on our side. We really appreciate it. All funds are going to be taken care of, and it's all going to be crowd funded. So thank you, everybody, for donating. We really appreciate it.
Okay, after a conversation, we spoke to our command, and they've hardened, fixed their posts for the night, and they're not willing to make any movements for the rest of the night. We're going to have to reconvene at this in the morning.
Okay, no. And I also just want to mention, we have retained counsel. We have retained Chad Williamson from Williamson Law. and any further correspondence or negotiations will be done through them.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you. Pretty chilly out today. So the amazing civil liberties initiative launched by the Rebel to get these guys some representation and hopefully diffuse the tense situation that we've got down here. It's hot, even though it's cold. So we're going to try to bring some clarity to everything and try to see if we can bring the parties together. So that's your mission today. And what is your expectation, let's say, for the day and even for the future moving ahead? Well, I mean, there's a lot to do. First, we want to obviously meet the group and meet the protesters, and then establish a connection and a rapport with the authorities that are on scene, so they can start productive negotiations if that's possible. Chris, okay, so you fellas were here yesterday. We're the new guys. Sorry, Greg? Greg. Troy. It usually takes me a couple times, but I'll remember you guys.
So we're interested if we can meet with everybody and just introduce the new guys, and then they have some information for you.
Yeah, that's great. New members are taking over from Chris and Mark from yesterday, and they indicated that they want to address you guys. So go ahead, you guys can introduce yourselves, I suppose.
So hopefully many, if not most of you guys have recognized Mark and Chris over the last couple of days. We are the new Mark and Chris. I'm Greg. This is Troy. Our whole purpose is, hopefully you've noticed, is to communicate on behalf of the RCMP. We're interested in finding a way to sort this whole situation out. And right now, our communication to you is that a decision has been made to open up the highway. So we understand that the reason that you're here is to block it, to keep it shut down. We know that. But the highway has to become open. This is going to happen in the near future. So the plan now is to invite everybody to take the next step. That being, let's get up to the trucks and you can start moving it on your own. It is obviously the best way to sort this problem out. If we're not able to facilitate that, then we'll be going through and removing the trucks on our own, along with the people associated to it. This is the message that we've been given from the people that are in charge, and this is what we are handing off to you. Clearly, the most important thing is that this is done in a safe manner, in the most efficient manner. You guys are all here to support your livelihood. We all get that. You know, we're doing a job too. And the worst thing for you guys is to end up having a truck seized or impounded or forfeited to the Crown because of what's happened here today. It's not what we want to have happen. So for the last 4 days, these guys have been working to try to get the same message across to you, to get everybody moving on their own, making the right decision so that this thing happens in the best way for you guys moving forward. I think it's pretty clear nationally that the message that you're trying to get across in one way or another has been given. What do you do next? How long can you stay?
Forever. 2 weeks and we will stay.
Yeah.
We will stay.
We will stay. We can make this easy too. For you guys, is by you guys working with us.
Yeah.
Like we're in this together. We all want the same thing. We want this stuff done.
No more mandates.
They have to be finished.
This
we're not
isn't just
here
about a message.
to cause issues. The minute restrictions get taken down, we'll leave.
We get that the message has been delivered, but it hasn't helped. Like everything's still the same.
That's right.
Nothing
this whole media thing that we're just a little fringe minority, there is more and more happening, just so you guys know.
You guys
this
like
is not a small fringe minority.
Okay. What's your name, sir?
My name is George.
George?
Yes.
I appreciate you bringing that out and talking on behalf of the group.
Right.
It's, you know, you've got to have somebody that's willing to speak up and talk. I get that. That's why I'm here today, is to be the one on behalf of the RCMP that's speaking up and talking to you guys.
Right.
What we have been told to impart upon you is that today is the day that we're opening the highway. And the reason that that's happening is because we've been instructed to do so by the people that are in charge of us.
So when will you guys stand up for us?
When you
like,
say that...
Are you guys not tired? Like, do you not have families?
Absolutely.
Do you not have families that this affects?
Yes.
Like, this is the time where we all work together. We need you guys to make a choice as well today to stand with us to make this change. Amen. We have so much going on right now. We have so much support right now. You guys can decide to say F you to your superiors and say we're not doing this anymore.
It's happened in other police forces.
You know, it has to.
Okay, I'm going to stop you there. That is not an option that we have.
Well, you do. Actually, you have the option.
We can do it. You can do it. You have.
Do it right now. Yeah. Do it. You have the option.
You'd rather come in and strong arm, no negotiations, really? That's your process?
I'll be 100% clear. Every single one of us that is a member of the RCMP and that is working together with us today wants the very last thing to be the use of force.
We agree.
We do not want that at all. We don't want to seize a single truck. We don't want to put anybody's livelihood in jeopardy. That is the very last resort. But we've been told that this has to come to an end. And we are the ones that are going to have to do this job. Just like you're the ones that have to do the job.
We can't do our job. We can't do our job because of what the big wigs are saying and doing. That's right. We need you to rise up as well. You need to say this is enough.
There are doctors, there are nurses.
As have we.
Do you not agree it needs to end?
I would very much like to see the pandemic come to an end.
Then help us.
Help us.
This is no longer a pandemic, it's a plan.
We'll comply our way out of this way.
So the message was, it's time to move. You're invited to come and move on your own.
And you're invited to stand with us as well.
And as that takes place,
it won't be taking place.
The other officers that are moving into position now are going to start taking enforcement action.
That's fine.
Right. So if you are of the mind that you will be placed under arrest and your truck seized, that sort of thing, I guess the next best thing is to go out there and present yourself.
I'm a pensioner, so I don't, like you kids are the ones that are going to have to deal with all this. Same with my grandkids. You're going to have to deal with all this political unrest and stuff.
Lately, it's actually been suicide. I don't know if people have too much time on their hands, so they think too much. And me, I keep myself busy, but lately we've had 3 suicides around here.
RCMP moved in this afternoon trying to break up the tense 4-day border blockade at Coutts, but it backfired, and at this hour, the standoff in southern Alberta continues.
The truckers were consulting with the lawyer. I guess the checkpoints that were the RCMP set up, they needed the extra guys to come here, so the checkpoints were completely open, and the entire convoy that were blocked by that checkpoint is now on the way here. So the RCMP will have to deal with many more truckers who are on their way to support this blockage at the border.
the fastest, to be honest with you. This is something I've certainly never seen before.
They are now moving, and they are blocking the highway just behind these trucks here.
Physically, like they're with their bodies, or are you like are they? What are they?
Right now, they have just moved into this area here. So actually, the RCMP, it appears, have withdrawn a bit.
RCMP officers were trying to force the first group of drivers to leave this afternoon when a second convoy cut off the rest of the highway, bypassing an RCMP checkpoint. The group says it's refusing to leave until all COVID-19 health restrictions are lifted.
Heard there may be reports of vigilante action even among ourselves. We condemn this. This is a peaceful protest. From the beginning, we have come here to get the attention of the authorities, to reason with them, and to have our demands met. There are extremes on all sides, we understand that, but once again, we condemn individual actions of violence and intimidation. We've also, we're here for all Albertans, Canadians. We're here fighting for the freedoms of not us, but our kids, our grandkids, the future of this province, this country. This is not something that is going to last for a short time. This is something we feel is so important that we are prepared to put everything on the line.
I've also received reports in the last hour of people allied with the protesters assaulting RCMP officers, including in one instance trying to ram members of the RCMP, later leading to a collision with a civilian vehicle in the area. This kind of conduct is totally unacceptable. Assaulting law enforcement officers who are simply doing their job to maintain public safety and the rule of law is completely unacceptable. And without hesitation, I condemn those actions, and I call for calm amongst anybody who feels sympathetic to those engaged in this blockade. Please stay away from the area. Please do not further intensify an already difficult situation of people allied with the protesters assaulting RCMP officers.
He said, number one, that us as the protesters rammed RCMP vehicles, as well as that there was an assault on an officer, RCMP officer. When I heard that, I grabbed my phone, thank goodness for technology, showed the RCMP officers what he said. We're all in agreement. Sergeant Henderson's been awesome to work with. Been working up, trying to get a statement from the RCMP. Nothing has yet happened. And we're here to tell the true story. We've been here since 10:30 in the morning yesterday, watching everything from that point. From that point the whole day. We stood right here watching the barricade as there's as two vehicles were apart. They snuck through, and actually the police let them through. It's been a peaceful protest this whole time. So proud of it. But what Jason Kenny said yesterday is not okay. And it's time to answer. It's time to answer. And we just as people want our freedoms back, and we're here to stay.
A physical altercation between RCMP officers and protesters. Yesterday, when we had protesters go around and breach the roadblock set up on Highway 4 to the north, there was some public safety concerns there and officer safety concerns there that took place. Their vehicles traveled through ditches and through fields to get around the roadblock and then onto Highway 4. They were traveling southbound on Highway 4 in the northbound lanes. And that was was happening at the same time, we had a few vehicles leaving the protest and traveling northbound in the northbound lanes. So we had a traffic meeting head-on the double-lane highway there. We did have a collision take place. A head-on collision occurred as a result of all this between a person trying to reach the blockade and a person who was just traveling north on the highway. Unfortunately, it was a relatively minor collision, but a confrontation which led to an assault took place as a direct result of that collision.
And that was an assault on an RCMP officer?
No, that was an assault between the two civilians, between a protester and a civilian.
So Jason Kenny's statement was not true at the press release?
I can tell you what I just told you, sir.
Okay, alright, and can I get your name and badge number, please?
You can have my name. It's called Curtis Peters. I'm the spokesperson here. My badge number is 52957. I've never been asked that before.
Standard procedure, Ross. Thank you so much.
Some breaking developments in this ever-changing situation here down at the Coutts border crossing in a show of good faith as a result of actually feeling like the government has heard their requests. The truckers are going to be opening a lane of traffic on both ways, giving unimpeded access on both sides of the border. Now, I'm not at liberty to share some of the behind-the-scenes developments that have spurred such a wild change of events, but this is extremely positive, and this is the reason why we bring parties together to try to resolve things peacefully.
Again, phenomenal public support, which put a lot of pressure on the rural MLAs, and we have huge MLA support right now that are going into caucus at 2 o'clock, and they are supporting us 100% with what we're doing, but they cannot continue to support us if we don't open up one lane of traffic across that border. They said if we open that lane of traffic, they will drop the rural mandates and what's that other one called? The RE? REP program. The REP program? The tax passports, that's correct.
Alex, hold on. RCMP, coming through.
To seek an agreed upon approach that would see an end to the roadblock. Unfortunately, the approximately 100 remaining individuals participating in that process have apparently refused to negotiate in good faith with the RCMP about an acceptable way forward.
There's been a press release that speaks to us walking away from the negotiating table. That is completely false. We have from the beginning said we want to negotiate. Yesterday, we were in negotiations with the RCMP. There was dialogue, there was good faith on our part, there was a similar action of good faith on their part to a certain degree. That is where the talk stalled, and this morning we were served, in their context of negotiation, we were served with nothing but enforcement. Enforcement that we have, through our own actions, been able to repel without violence. We've gone out there. We've held strong, but like I said before, we are open to talk. We've been in touch with many local, provincial, and federal authorities and politicians. We hear you, but we want to be heard as well.
They're going into a meeting right now with the rural caucus. Yep. They're having a meeting. If things don't go well, we're going to block things back up.
Right.
But we are willing to open things up just to show you guys that we want to work with you guys.
We're the freedom guys. We don't want to hold anyone down.
We don't want to be here any more than you guys. Like we appreciate what you guys have been doing. Yeah. Like we know it's tough for everybody. Yeah. This sucks for everybody. But we want to work. We want to work with you guys. We want to work with the public.
We got to go back and say, You just jump in the truck and talk to our boss for a minute.
Don't we need some more solid timelines and stuff first before we make any agreements?
No, just let them. This is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, let them go do this, guys.
Neither of us are capable of giving you any promises.
We're literally going to open things up.
Okay, let's go open these lanes up and let them.
So just let me tell our guys first before we see everybody moving to trucks and get all excited.
Have apparently refused to negotiate in good faith.
If they do not meet our requests, that border is shut again immediately.
Amen.
All in favor of that?
Yes.
Show of hands.
Does that mean we open now?
We open now just for one lane to show faith that we are opening it. They meet at 2 o'clock. If they meet our request and drop their mandates, it's open.
And if they don't,
we shut it down again.
There isn't the same, like when we used to go across, they knew you would go, yeah, going over to Sweetgrass, get the mail or whatever. Yeah, okay, and they'd wave you through. Whereas now, everything is, they're strangers. We're strangers to them, and even on the Canadian side, they brought in a lot of people from Lethbridge, which is 65 miles from here. So you don't know them either.
Sergeant Sergeant Simone back here again at the Milk River Police barrier that's been set up, meant to stop supporters and those bringing supplies down to the Coutts blockade, where they had previously shut down the border and had all lanes of traffic closed. Now currently there is flow through the border and there is one lane open north and south, but as you can see behind me, last night when we were here, there's maybe around 17, seemed like under 20 police vehicles that were present here. Now it seems even more than that. It seems there are at least 20, and if you look especially right here, there's one vehicle that's Fish and Wildlife Officer. Now, not sure what they would be doing blocking off the highway. Make of this, and the atmosphere here, it just seems incredible. But what's your take on the situation?
The atmosphere is electric. It is quite honestly one of the most impressive moments of my life. That didn't make sense. It's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen, ever. We're out in the middle of the cold Canadian prairie. The wind is howling, and our voices are louder than the wind.
December, January, my sister, my brother, and myself lost our jobs just because we refused to give in to the mandates. And unfortunately, that's what brought me here today. And, you know, just evil needs nothing else to prevail in this world except for good men to sit down and do nothing. And I'll say one thing, where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is freedom. If this protest is truly about freedom and peace, which I believe it is, I mean, look at the turnout here. There's people bringing in food from all over, cooking, donating, and it's all freedom and peace and loving. That's the Canadian way. It's not like CBC or any of these other mainstream news channels are making it out to be. So I got to hand it to you, Rebel News, for doing a bang-up job in bringing out the truth.
For the past few days, I was watching your stands. I was watching the Coutts. I'm watching Ottawa. And I said to my wife, I have to be there. I have to come. I have to stand in solidarity with Canada. This is our time. Yes. If I can describe to you what I feel in my heart, it would be this. We are on the verge of victory. I tell you more. We have already won. The villains have not recognized that yet. They're holding on, they're puffing their chests, they're threatening, they're bringing fear and terror because they know that they have already lost. In 1980, when the Polish people came in solidarity, when they became the sparking fire in Europe, when they realized that this is not about them anymore, that the whole world was watching what's happening behind the Iron Curtain, they got courage and strength. And this is what I remember they said. This fight is no longer just about us. This fight is about freedom on earth. Imagine if the Soviets would won. Imagine if solidarity movement would fail. How the world, your world here, would look like. We don't know. We know one thing, the villains will never stop. We know this, the bully will keep bullying until we say no more.
You're under arrest for mischief over. Forrest Arthur, or do you want us to drag you? You don't want to stand up?
People starting to hate your guts, you know that? You know that? They starting to hate you.
Okay, let's go, guys.
And they're turning against you, you freaking nuts. That's what you are. What are you doing to the clergymen in this country?
He's been charged with mischief over $5,000, and he's the first person charged under the Critical Infrastructure Defense Act for interrupting the operation of essential infrastructure, in this case, the border crossing. The government has charged him because they say his inspirational religious sermon to the truckers is a crime against the state.
We have no say in democracy anymore. We've lost democracy. Canada is not a democratic nation anymore. And if those 2 years didn't show you that, then you must be blind. We need our country back. How are you going to get your country back? If you're not going to stand up, stand up. And thousands are coming to help you. To stand up. Be blessed.
A few of the boys have brought out some equipment here and they parked it on private land with permission from the owner to park it here. RCMP, they had it parked in view of within view of the highway. RCMP requested that it be moved out of view of the highway, so we've obliged them. After it was moved here, somebody sabotaged the equipment. So they've cut this main battery cable. Yep. They cut this negative battery cable almost all the way through. They cut the cables on the solenoids. They'd be start solenoids and probably a glow plug solenoids. And then this control box, they've cut all the wires in it.
They took the fuel lines off. They sprayed foamed them shut.
Yeah.
There's a filter missing over there. And they've cut all the wires off the solenoids there.
Yeah.
Let's get right in there.
Yeah, yeah.
And then on the other side here.
Oh, yeah.
You see the foam there, yeah. The foam. Yeah, filters are missing and they're foamed shut.
So I can confirm that we disabled looks like three excavators.
Yep.
To prevent the equipment from being used in the illegal activity of the blockade.
Hey guys, well, it's an extremely windy day here in Coutts. And well, of course, today is the day where we're expecting to find out word from Jason Kenny, and his announcement that's going to take place later today will set the stage for the days to come. Either it will be a pleasant resolve and the truckers will find that an accomplishment has been made from what Jason Kenny sets out, or Jason Kenny will come out with something that is perhaps subpar in the eyes of these guys, and they'll be back out here and they perhaps may even block off these lanes yet again.
Good afternoon, protesters, truckers, farmers, tradesmen, Albertans, and all Canadians. We want to start off by thanking everybody for the support we have received in the last week. From anonymous donations, food, fuel, and other essential items, we are overwhelmed by all the support. The RCMP continues to blockade Highway 4 at Milk River, which has created logistical struggles for us to get essential services to the truckers at Coutts. We call on the RCMP to allow unrestricted flow of traffic to support the peaceful protests at Coutts. Over the last 2 years, Canadians have watched as the civil liberties of all have been systematically eroded. We watched as our seniors were isolated and our kids were masked. We watched as our working class was abused and coerced into experimental vaccinations for the sake of public safety. While using emergency powers, our provincial and federal governments, with the assistance of health departments, have systematically taken away our rights and freedoms. We, the people, call on Jason Kenny and Justin Trudeau to immediately stop and retract all provincial and federal mandates and emergency health measures. To all our doctors, nurses, paramedics, truckers, government employees, and all others who have lost their jobs or whose freedoms to choose have been taken away, we hear you. To our seniors, our veterans, and all those who have given everything for this great country, we stand with you in this fight against government overreach. And to our children, so loved and precious, most of them unaware that we are in the fight of our life, you are the reason we cannot fail. We call on the Premier to do the right thing. The people have spoken. This is not about which side you are on or political clout. This fight is for the freedoms of all. Albertans and Canadians, there can be no compromise of our fundamental human rights. We call on Canadians to rise up and peacefully take back our freedoms. Thank you.
And I reported that farmers circumvented their way through the RCMP checkpoint in Milk River. They stayed back here where the truckers are hanging out for about 20 minutes. They grabbed their coffees, and it seems as now they have just blocked the border here in Coutts, Alberta to Sweetgrass, Montana.
to give them an out, right? We got to give them a way to find a solution to deal with all this, would not make them look bad, right? And because that's diplomacy and democracy, right? We can't have anarchy, right? Because that no world or no system is going to work in anarchy, right? We are fighting for our God-given right freedom, but we have to do it with peace, because God is not violent.
That's right.
So if you guys can all just kind of remember all the time, I know there's some new fire here and some new fired up people, I understand, but we're going to win this war.
That's right.
But we also got to remember we got to do it with love and peace.
This announcement, rather, gives a sense of optimism and hope to Albertans. I know that some will say this is too much change and that we are moving too fast. Restrictions, mandates, and those kinds of interventions will not and must not become a permanent feature of our lives. We Albertans are never broken. We are always resilient. It is time to call on that resilience as we move in the path to recovery. It is time to remove these restrictive and damaging health measures. It's time for us to learn to live with COVID as best we can.